evening, or late afternoon, and welcome to the Hatha Yoga Center. All levels yoga, 5:30 p.m. Today is Friday. Back in the days when we had students coming into the studios, like 5 months ago or whatever, we called it happy hour or Friday night at the bar. So, if you're joining in and you want to let me know if you have any requests for practice this evening, feel free to drop them in the comments. I can see somebody is there, but I can't see who it is. So let's just start in a seat. So find a place where you can be comfortable for a few moments, and let's just ground ourselves. So find your seat. I'm sitting on a block. You might be sitting up on a cushion or a block or something like that, or you could be sitting on the floor. But just making sure that your lower body is comfortable to just settle into the floor. You can find your sit bones, and then find your spine lengthening up, finding the place where your head can be balanced on top of your shoulders. Hello, Rapkin peeps, and Joanne, how are you? It's been a while. I've seen you in the comments elsewhere, but it's nice to see you. So find your spine, and if you'd like to close your eyes or just find a soft gaze, you could do that, and then just find your breath before we begin to move. We've got Janice, Shivanti, and Sasha, and anything for feet. Okay. Tell me if you have tennis balls, because I haven't done that for a while. So settling into your seat and just finding the breath. Let's take a few balanced breaths in and out through the nose. So just starting to come into the awareness of your breath more completely. And also feeling grounded, just letting yourself feel grounded. So seeing if you can feel the kind of like the structure of your skeleton and kind of allowing the tissues of your body to kind of relax around it softly. Your muscles and your connective tissues kind of releasing a little bit. And yes, you have tennis balls. Okay. So let's just, in our seat, just start to make circles. So circling around, starting to let your spine move. You might round as you come back and let your chest come forward and arch a little bit. Just kind of letting your head be at ease. And then switch directions. Circling in the opposite direction, just kind of feeling into your spine and your hips, your belly. Just one more time around. And then coming back to center, and then do a little seated cat-cow around your spine. Let your chin come to your chest, and then arch as you come forward, inhaling, kind of letting the head be along for the ride, just like we do when we're on hands and knees. Moving with the breath. And one more time through. And coming back to center, and let's bring your left hand over to the floor. My sister is requesting a good flow via text. You could gaze up underneath your arm, keeping your right sit bone still grounding, so you feel the stretch all the way up the right side of your body, and then coming over towards the other side, sweeping your arm over, and gaze is lifted. And then just go side to side a couple times, coming as far as you want. And I'm going to go grab a tennis ball. Coming back up, just while I'm doing that, just take some easy twist side to side. Starting to feel into the movements of your spine. tennis ball. And before we start moving, let's take the tennis ball and step on it. I haven't done that for a while, and it always feels good. Okay. So just starting with one foot. You know what to do, just pressing and releasing. Just working around the top of the foot into the ball of the foot and the toes. And then working your way down the inner edge. And work on finding your breath here, even as you're doing this, just letting your breath be more conscious and relaxed and full. So you can feel both your inhale and exhale, breathing in and out through the nose. And then just moving into the heel. And eventually up the other side of the foot. Every time I get a tennis ball out at home to use for this, my dog steals it. And then it comes back into the house all dirty and gross. We just got a new bed and there was like 5 dirty tennis balls underneath my bed. I'm just coming back around to the top of the foot and switching. And working your way around the sole of your opposite foot. Your other foot. I don't know if it's really your opposite, left and right. I guess they're opposite. The two sides of your body. And working into the arch a bit. And up and down the sides. Noticing how if you're looking down at your foot, your breath isn't as comfortable, so maybe not doing that, and just keeping this time during this hour and 15 minutes that we spend together to be as focused on the breath and the spine as we can be. I keep on hearing people talking about meditation over the years or whatever. I've heard people talking about how you're supposed to clear your mind, or it's about clearing your mind. And I don't really think anybody's able to clear their mind. I think it's more about stepping back and seeing all the thoughts that are coming and going. So just setting your tennis ball off to the side, learning how to have a little bit of detachment from your constant thoughts and being able to identify them, perhaps, and make a choice about whether you're going to attach yourself to them or go down a certain thought path. And I don't remember why I said that. It had to do with something I said, but coming to your, stand on your feet and just feel the soles of your feet on the floor. They might feel a little bit more sensitive. You might be able to feel like I have a mat, or you might be on the carpet or on the wood floor. So just noticing how much more you can feel. And then finding your breath here. And you might just do a little bit of like loosening of your upper body. So just a little bit of a reminder that we're not going to be like tense as we do our practice. So some of that is the breath. You might twist a little bit, let your arms kind of be heavy. And you could pick up your feet and move it a little bit like that, or just keep your feet planted, maybe turning more of your upper body. Just letting go of a little bit of tension from your day. There's a lot of things happening in the world around us that are tension producing possibly, so letting it go and coming back to your standing mountain pose and bringing yourself really present for your practice. So bringing the hands together at your heart, gently pressing the palms together, and then raise the arms up, lengthen up. And you might sway a little bit from side to side, or even circle a little bit. Key does this. I haven't done it for a while with her, but she does a little bit of a circling thing with the upper body, the ribs off the hips. And coming back to center, inhale, and then exhale, coming forward with a long spine, coming into your forward bend, finding the backs of your legs. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Just Finding the breath here. You might sway a little bit. Noticing if you're gathering tension in your neck, just keeping it easy, long. And then let's step the left foot back, bringing the knee down and coming all the way up. Bringing the weight back and up over the left knee, raising your arms, lengthen up. And take a breath, you could lift your gaze. And then sweep your arms back. Clasp your hands and stretch a little bit into your chest. And then release the arms, let them float back up. And then exhale, bring the arms down. And let's step back, let's come through cat-cow. So come to hands and knees. And just find your tabletop. Exhale, round spine. Inhale, arching. Just moving a couple times through. Initiating the movement with your pelvis. Maybe go really slow one time through, like real slow. And then maybe before we come back to down dog, come back to cat, rounding your spine. Maybe come up onto your fingertips and really round, lift the belly. Let your head relax a little. And then bring your hands back down, tuck your toes, draw your hips back. You could stretch the bottoms of your feet for a moment, kind of wrapping the elbows in. And then lift the hips. And you might pedal your feet. So there's a big raging debate in this yoga teachers group I'm in on Facebook that has like thousands of people in it. I think there's like 10,000 people, and it's about the shoulders and downward facing dog. You know, we always cue that we slide the shoulders down the back, which some people are arguing we should not do that. But my opinion is that if you right now were to just crunch up into your shoulders and draw your shoulder blades up, that's not going to be very comfortable. And if you were to move them, wrap the elbows in and push them down really hard down the back, that's not very comfortable. But we don't want to go to either extreme, so we're still making room for the shoulder blades to slide without jamming them. So finding kind of your neutral place with your shoulder blades that feels good. And then from here, we're going to come forward into plank. It's just like that when you're standing too, like with your arms up, you're not trying to cram your shoulders down, but you're feeling them sliding, your shoulder blades sliding. So there's room for movement. Just taking another breath here. I'm not involved in the argument, I was just observing it. I like to kind of rock in my plank pose a little bit. And then just coming all the way down onto your belly, sweeping the arms back, clasp your hands, keep your toes on the floor so you can keep the tops of your feet on the floor, rolling up. And then just starting to roll a little bit side to side. And then maybe rolling all the way over onto the left side. Nice big breath. So here you can feel your right shoulder blade moving down. And then back onto your belly and over onto the other side. We also spend a lot of time with our shoulder blades, our shoulders kind of hunched up or rounded forward. So we're also kind of countering our habits when we come to yoga, trying to learn new ways of moving our bodies that are more balanced, perhaps. Coming back onto your belly, lift your toes, coming up into locust, just another breath. And then release your hands, maybe come into Sphinx for a moment. And just take a breath here, kind of pulling the belly forward, the heart forward. And you might be kind of angling your tailbone down and lifting your belly so there's no extra crunching in your low back, no compression. And then maybe the elbows come forward. You could bring your thumbs or even your heels of your hand underneath your chin, bringing your neck into extension and, stretching the front of your throat and Just lengthening that tissue. And then bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders. Tuck your elbows in by your sides and push back up to downward dog. Just moving a little bit there. Maybe taking your right foot up and over the left foot. Bringing the sole of your right foot to the floor. And stretching into the right side of your torso and lower back. And then back through center, stepping the left foot over, bringing the sole of your left foot down. Whoops. My hands are a little bit slippery. Breathing. And then back to center. And then we'll step the left foot forward. And bring the knee down. And again, coming to bring your weight back up and over the right knee. Let your arms float up. And so notice if you have your hands like your palms forward, it doesn't feel very good for the shoulders. And it's also a little bit harder. So you could turn your palms facing each other, and then you have a little bit more room to move the shoulder blades. And again, you're not going to jam them down. You're just letting them naturally release away from your ears. Then you could actually move your shoulder blades together and down, and then reach up. Exhale again, drawing them together and down, and back up, and one more time. Lifting the heart, and back up. And then we're going to step forward into forward bend. Coming back into your forward bend. And then we'll come all the way up. You could bring your arms out to the sides, bend your knees, and just come really slowly, reaching up. And let's just come straight back down, bend your knees, coming through the long spine, hinging forward at the hip. If you can, bend your knees and bring your hands underneath your feet. That sometimes feels good for the feet and the wrists. You can bring your toes kind of up onto the forearm a little bit and stretch. And then you're kind of pulling on the bottoms of your feet. You might have to bend your knees a lot. I kind of like the way it feels. Might be a little much for some people's hamstrings, but go ahead and release that. And then from here, we'll step the right foot back. And we'll come into Warrior One with your back heel lifted, squaring the hips. And taking a breath there. And then from here, you could bring your knee slowly to the floor. And bring the hands down. Maybe your hands come right to the outside the foot, and keeping the head and shoulders lifted. If that's too deep, you can come to your knee as well, or to blocks, if you have to round to get down there. So it's a pretty deep stretch at the front of your right hip. So just we're not trying to pull too hard on that. Just making it feel pretty good. And then bring your weight back up. You might be able to reach back for your foot. You could just play with it. Maybe you can even pull your foot back so that you're coming into a little bit of a back bend. And then maybe switch your hands. If you can't reach your foot, that's okay. We're just playing. And then let it go. And then bring the hips back and turn your left toes up. So you're in this kind of half splits pose, keeping your shoulders and your head lifted. So not rounding forward so much, and then maybe moving a little bit. You can turn your leg from side to side. You'll feel into the different parts of the muscles of the back of the leg. And then let your toes come to the floor. So you're coming into a plantar flexion of the foot, and then back to this dorsiflexion. And then we'll come back up and we'll step back to downward facing dog. just finding your down dog. So again, kind of playing with your shoulders. If your elbows are sticking out to the sides, very uncomfortable and awkward. So that's why we bring ourselves into this alignment by wrapping the shoulders in. Then we can lift the hips, we can come out of the shoulders. Finding the breath. If you let your head drop too much, your breath will start to be closing off. So just finding the right position for your neck and head that's comfortable and neutral. You might take a twist here, bringing your left hand down to the right lower leg or ankle. And again, feel how you can kind of wrap your right elbow in, and that gives you some room in the shoulder. And then bringing left hand back to the floor and right hand back to the left lower leg or ankle. Feeling it in the back. I feel it more in my left shoulder, but you'll probably feel it in the back of your right shoulder as well. And release that. Taking a breath, and then let's come forward into plank. So I'm thinking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg now, hearing that she's having a recurrence of her cancer. Not good. But she's tough, and she's practiced all these things for years, so let's lift our right foot up. You just bend the knee, lift it right up. And then the left foot, keeping your hips right where they are. And back down, and then coming about halfway down at most, and up into your cobra. So press into the floor, roll your shoulders back, open the chest, lifting up through the crown of your head, breathing. Nice deep breath. You can probably feel your rib cage up against your arms as it expands. And then bending your knees and coming back, making through prayer for a moment. And then lifting the hips up into downward dog. Taking a nice breath here. And then we'll step the right foot forward. Coming up into Warrior One lunge. So breathing. Finding your gaze, that's helpful. Your drishti, focusing. Letting the knee come towards the floor. And then bringing the hands down on either side of your right foot, if you can, or up to the knee. Just keeping the shoulders and the head lifted, chest open, breathing. So the right hip really has to draw back, even as the knee moves forward. Nice steady breath. And then coming up a little, let's reach back for the foot with the left hand, or for the ankle, if you can. Kind of, again, pulling the ankle into the hand. And then switch, bringing the right hand back, so you're more of a twist. Let your breath be really steady. And then release that. Draw your hips back. And let your toes come up, so you're in this half splits pose, Ardha Hanumanasana. I think it's called because Hanumanasana is splits, and Ardha means half. And then turn the toes down towards the ground, pointing your foot, stretching this top of the foot, and then back to your half splits. And then we'll step forward again into the forward bend. You can bend your knees a lot. You can just bend your knees and bring your chest right onto your thighs. You might have to bend them a lot to do that. Then maybe you can reach back and stay there for a couple breaths, or you could try to straighten your legs with your chest on your thighs. And you'll come to a point where you can't straighten anymore. Just breathe. And then release the hands And sweep the arms up, reaching up. And so feel the shoulders here. Obviously, we don't want to hike the shoulders up. We don't really want to jam them down, but we want to let them slide down comfortably. And then hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment and find your breath. And let's go again, raise the arms. This time we're going to come through chair pose. So sit your hips back. You can sweep your arms back and clasp your hands. Sitting back. You can even walk your feet together if you'd like, the knees pressing together. So lifting your heart. And then slowly release, coming forward. And taking a breath there. And then let's step the left foot back pyramid distance. And come into a pyramid position with your legs. So your feet are hip width. Toes of your left foot are angled out towards the edge of the mat. Find your feet on the floor. So really feel like you did at the beginning after you stood on the tennis ball. Feel the soles of your feet touching the floor, and where are they not touching the floor? Like obviously your arch is lifted, so maybe not there, but sometimes we roll to the outer edge of the foot or we collapse inward, so just feeling. Finding your steady breath. And then let's twist it. So open your arm, your right arm up. You can bring it back to your sacrum or lift it up, opening the chest. The left hand could be on the floor or maybe even up on the leg. We're trying to keep this long spine, no rounding. I'm sure you get sick of hearing me say that every Friday night. And just another breath there. And then bringing that arm down and just pause in your pyramid. And then try lifting your foot, your toes, so you're on your heel. That's pretty intense, might be too much. And then just bring the foot back down and bend your front knee and step up, bringing your left foot up. So you're in warrior three. Bring your arms out to the sides, so you're in like an airplane kind of pose. And I'm not doing very well with my balance right now. So press back strongly through the heel. And then draw the knee up. Find your breath. So you're in a one-legged balance with your left knee lifting. And then we're going to go back to warrior three. So press back. Take a breath. And then take your twist here. So bring your left fingertips down to the floor just like we did, but now we have our leg lifted. And you could bring right hand to your sacrum. So drawing this right hip back, pressing back strongly through your left heel. And feeling how your sacrum stays level. You might even try to lift your left fingertips off the floor. And then bring your right hand back down. Step your left foot back. Coming back to pyramid, and now it feels a little bit more like a resting pose. So stay there for a moment. And then step back to downward facing dog. And just find your down dog. I'm going to turn on my mat. And take a couple of breaths. Then we'll step the left foot forward for pyramid distance, so turning the toes of your right foot out, maybe coming to the fingertips or up onto the shin or thigh, keeping your spine neutral. So you'll feel your tailbone is your lower back lifting, your shoulders and head kind of lifting. It's a big stretch in the back of your left leg, of course. Feeling contact with the floor, especially in your left foot. Feel how the mound underneath the big toe of your left foot is firmly anchored to the floor. let your heel lift maybe, like we did on the other side. Not sure if that's when I did it, but that's okay. So try lifting your toes for a moment. And then bring them back down. And then we'll take the twist. So wherever your right hand needs to land, maybe on the leg or on the floor. Some people use a block. Turning and opening up into the twist. You might have your left hand on the sacrum or lifting the arm. So draw the belly in. Feel like you're adducting, drawing the thighs together a little bit. Really strong up the center. Feeling your feet on the floor. One more breath. And then bringing that hand down. And just pause for a moment. We're going to bend into the left knee. And we're going to lift the right foot. So you're going to press back through the right heel. So coming up into Warrior 3, you could lift your arms into like the airplane version of Warrior 3. And then draw that right knee up best you can. Woo! Taking a breath there, and then reach it back. And then take your twist, so bring the right fingertips down to the floor and open the chest. Maybe the left hand comes to the sacrum. Keep drawing this left hip back. You can even tuck your thumb in there and feel how it wants to creep forward. Just lengthening it back. You can try taking the right fingertips off the floor. And then step back to pyramid. And just pause. Nice deep breath. Just let it go. And then we'll step back to downward dog. Just moving a little bit, maybe bending into one knee and the other. And then let's just bring our knees apart like about the width of the mat, so a little wider. And come back into child's pose. You can keep your arms forward. Taking a breath or two here. Breathing into your back. Feeling how the back of your rib cage expands and kind of puffs up with the breath. And then coming up into prayer a little higher. So lifting your hips up, you can walk your knees in a bit. And let's take the right hand under and come into this back of the shoulder stretch. So just staying, we'll not come to lay down this time, just staying on the knees. Reaching forward with your left hand. So you probably feel a stretch in both shoulders. A nice steady breath. And then walk your left hand back and lift up, coming back through hands and knees, and then we'll tuck the left arm under, right arm goes forward. Hips stay lifted, and breathing into the back. And feeling your right shoulder and your left shoulder. A little bit of a twist. And just another breath. And releasing that. And let's come back up to downward facing dog. And then from here, let's come into pigeon. So let's step the right foot forward, bringing the knee down. So you might start in a more upright position. You could even tuck your left toes under and lift the thigh for a moment, just feeling your hips. Evening things out, and then slowly coming forward and breathing. So keeping your breath nice and smooth, feeling it again in the back of your body. So feeling the rib cage, the back of your rib cage inflating. Nice steady breath. And then walking the hands in, let's bring your left hand down, plant your left hand, and we'll reach back for the foot like we did in the lunge. Taking the twist. So you can use your right ankle to kind of pull into the left hand and feel the stretch in the shoulder, in the front of the hip. And release that, and then take it the other way. So bring the right hand down and reach back for your left foot. And you could stay here, or sometimes we like to come into more of a quad stretch. So maybe you can bring your heel more towards the buttock, spinning your fingertips. Again, lengthening up through the crown of the head, keeping the shoulders relaxing. And release that. And then let's step up to down dog. And just move, bend into one knee and the other. And then we'll draw the left knee forward. And again, starting in this more upright position and back bend, tucking your toes, maybe lifting your thigh. And then just coming slowly forward. Maybe to the forearms or all the way down. And again, feeling the breath, filling up your back body. And here you might feel your heels pressing into the belly, and you might be able to feel how the belly moves with the breath as well. Just making room for the breath. Feeling again for the neck to stay long and neutral. Noticing any resistance to the breath. Seeing if you can soften a little bit. And we'll walk the hands back in, bringing your right hand, plant your right hand, reach back for the left foot. If you can't get the foot, that's okay. Just maybe take the twist, bringing your hand maybe back to the thigh or to the floor. If you can get the ankle, then kind of pulling the ankle into the hand and opening up the front of your right hip and belly. And release that, and then planting your left hand, reaching back for your right foot with your right hand. Maybe spinning your fingertips, drawing the heel in towards the buttock, breathing. Big quad stretch. And release that. Tucking your toes, and then lifting up. Let's let the right leg float up. So wherever it stops, you'll feel your hips don't change. So there's just a point at which you can't lift it any higher without distorting other parts of your body. Come up onto the ball of your foot maybe. Lift it higher and stack your hips and open your hips, letting your right knee bend. So you're in a little bit of a back bend. And then straighten it back up and draw that foot down towards the floor. Let your left foot float up. And keep drawing the right hip back, like we do in class when we're doing partner work. Somebody grabs your right hip and draws it back as they have your left leg maybe on their shoulder. You remember that one? And then stack the hips and open that hip, bending your left knee. And then straightening it back up and letting it come down. And let's come forward into plank. And pause for a moment. And then coming about halfway down. And then up into cobra. And you could bend one foot and the other. You could look back, going side to side. I should say bend one knee, not one foot. And then lifting the hips, come back through prayer. Bring your forehead down, just rest your forehead. You could roll your head from side to side. Feels kind of good. It's my new thing. It's kind of relaxing. Let's not get too relaxed though. Tuck your toes and lift up again. And then I'm going to step my right foot forward, and we're going to come into a turn into a wide-legged position, so however that works for you at home. So bending into one knee and the other, just easy, letting your shoulders and your neck and your elbows be kind of fluid. Coming back to center, you could turn your toes in and bend your knees a little bit and feel the stretch up the outer lower legs, which is really intense. You can do it one knee at a time or both. It's hard to get into that stretch. And then just come back to center. Maybe turning the toes out a little bit more, and try walking the hands forward so that you're coming into plank pose, but with your feet apart. Maybe you can come all the way out and then walk back, lifting belly. You can do that one more time. Just slowly walking out. Pause, and then walking back. And again, just bending into one knee and the other. Always looking for new ways to torture ourselves with plank. There's lots of variations. And then walk your hands over towards your left lower leg or foot. And just allowing your head to relax. Tipping your tail up, coming into this wide-legged forward bend with a side stretch. And then walking hands through center and over towards the right foot. Nice deep breath. And then back to center. And take a breath. And then let's do a twist. So bringing the right hand right into the center, in between the line of the toes. I like to turn my fingertips back to open the shoulder. And then just turning into the twist. You could bring your left hand back to sacrum, or even all the way around to the thigh if you have that kind of mobility in your shoulders. And then just turning your spine, opening the chest, keeping the neck long. I don't think this is an easy pose. For me, it's tricky for a couple reasons. Releasing and bringing the right hand down, again in between the line of your toes, and turning. Partly because it's always been challenging for me to keep my spine really aligned. I always kind of want to come forward, so I always try to think about leaning my head back. And then my shoulders feel a little, we do a partner one where somebody comes behind you and helps you get into the twist. I always feel like I need an assist here, but there's no assisting happening right now, so to find my own assister. Turning down again, bending into one knee and the other. Maybe I could teach my husband how to do it. Warner, if you're watching. And then let's turn your right toes out and bend a little deeper into the right knee. And you could slide your left foot out to the side, turn the toes of your left foot forward, maybe your right elbow is kind of coming underneath your knee. Or maybe you're just staying up on your hands, but maybe that knee can come into the shoulder. Try to keep your spine long here too, so your shoulders and head aren't rounded forward. It's an intense stretch of the inner thighs, and then walking back through center. And bringing the left elbow perhaps underneath the left knee, maybe to the right forearm, or staying up. Again, just feeling for this nice long spine. And then back to center. And just come into your forward bend again, maybe with the hands back behind the head. So you're tractioning your neck, or you could also reach back and clasp the hands, stretching into the upper body, into the shoulders. And then releasing. And just walking your feet closer together. Let's come into a squat. So if you know that your squat is challenging for you, like your heels don't want to touch the floor, you could take your mat. In fact, let's just everybody get off your, if you're using a mat, take your mat and roll it up. So roll it up pretty tight. We'll do a couple things with it. We'll do the knee burrito. So taking your mat and bring it underneath your heels. We'll start our squatting that way. So you might bring your elbows inside your knees and pressing your knees open. So with the heels lifted, it's a little bit easier. So finding your long spine here. You could try a little twist. You could try tucking your left elbow into the knee. Try not to let this knee collapse. Keep your legs right where they are, opening up. Watching for the neck to droop. Just keep it lifting. And then the other side, the right shoulder into the right knee. Twisting open. Gaze turns and maybe lifts. Bringing that arm back in. And then maybe come forward and step off of the mat. We'll just set the mat off to the side. We could try crow pose, a little arm balance. So bringing your elbows and hands pretty wide and the knees into that shelf that you're making with your upper arms, your humerus bone. Maybe you're lifting your feet. And finding how you're still here, keeping the head and shoulders lifting so you're not crumpling into it. Tail is lifted. And then coming back down. And now you could try your squat without your roll. So it's a little more challenging. You can just lift the heels too if you need to. Taking a couple breaths there. And just coming forward and finding your roll again. Making sure your mat is rolled up tight. And we'll bring it back behind the knees. And we will sit right on that mat. So it's a little bit intense. So just feeling it kind of slowly helping to release your calves. Try to really just like breathe into it. It's easy to kind of tense up when you have something intense like that going on, but see if you can breathe through the discomfort, as long as it's the good kind of discomfort. And then you might try tucking your toes. You could even lift your arms if you want a little bit more. Maybe lift your gaze. It's going to be a little bit much on the bottoms of the feet, so be careful. Taking a couple breaths there. And then releasing the arms and the hands. And take that roll out, bring it in front of you. And come to put your toes on it, coming into a forward bend with your toes lifted up on the mat. And then we'll just take that mat out, set it off to the side. And then let's come down and come onto our back. So rolling onto your back and just drawing your knees in and rocking a little bit from side to side. And then let's extend our legs up, arms out to the sides. And then keeping your feet together and keeping your sacrum pinned to the floor, let your legs go side to side. So keeping the upper body really relaxed and controlling that movement with your belly muscles. So moving with control without a lot of momentum. Your back stays pinned to the floor. Keep going. So you're putting the brakes on as your legs come over, using your belly muscles to do that. A couple more times. And then draw the knees in. And just rocking again. And then again, arms out to the sides. We'll do some leg downs, get that over with. So heels together, toes slightly apart. We'll inhale, right heel towards the floor and hover. Press your tailbone down, exhale. Left foot back up. Left side, inhale, the heel towards the floor. Hover for a moment, press your tailbone down, inhale, back up. Exhale, back up. So inhale down, maybe one more time to each side, exhale, back up. And then we'll try it with two legs. If you have a ball at home and you would like to put the ball under your sacrum for the leg downs, you can always do that. So this time we'll go heels together, toes apart, and we'll inhale the heels to the floor and exhale back up. Keep pressing the tailbone down as you exhale back up. Try to relax your upper body a bit, feeling your belly lengthening. Couple more times. And last one. Inhale, heels towards the floor. This time pause, hold them there, hovering. And then exhale, back up, pressing tailbone down, bend your knees. And rock a little bit side to side. And then let's lift your right leg and extend your left leg. Just hovering your left leg above the floor. And then turning so you're in a twist, bringing your right foot up and over, keeping your left foot off the floor. Breathing, so you're drawing your right hip down if you can. You can even take your thumb there and feel that lengthening of the right side of your torso. Then just bend the knees and draw them back up. And extend your right leg straight out, hovering above the floor. Left leg up and turn into the twist. So the right foot and ankle are hovering above the floor. Breathing. Maybe you're gazing back over your left shoulder. And then draw the knees in. And come back onto your back. And then let's get a strap. And so we'll take the strap and come onto our back and bring the strap under the ball of the right foot and extending the left leg and coming into this stretch of the back of your right leg, using the strap to be able to relax your shoulders so that your arms, it's like your arms are longer. If you can reach your foot without the strap, that's fine too. Just try to do that without building a lot of tension in your shoulders and your neck and stuff. So just breathing there in this upside down splits position. Feeling, you might take your thumb into the hip crease and just feel it drawing down. And then taking the strap into the right hand, you could kind of maybe bringing your left arm out to the side and opening up your leg so you're in this position with the leg out to the side. So you're feeling probably a big stretch in the inner thigh. In the hamstrings, still kind of feeling like you're lengthening down through the right side of your torso. And then bring that leg up and maybe taking the strap in the left hand and the right arm out to the side without lifting your sacrum up off the floor. Let your right foot come over towards the left. So keep your back on the floor. It's pretty intense. You could even take the thumb again into the right hip crease, drawing it down. And at some point, if you want to go further, you're going to have to let the hip lift, so do that. And you're coming back into this position that we were just in without the strap. This time using the strap. Again, taking thumb in and kind of rolling that hip down. Maybe your gaze is back over your right shoulder. Maybe you can let your shoulder blades really relax on the floor there. And then bringing that foot back up and switch. Bringing the strap underneath your left leg. And maybe straightening that right leg. So feeling how, if your hamstrings are tight, sometimes our lower back will roll up kind of off the floor. So see if you can instead just back it up with your leg. And be sure to feel your lower back staying on the floor as you draw that leg towards you. So you're not working with a rounded spine just to get deeper into the stretch. You're staying neutral and working off of that, the neutral spine. And you're breathing. And then taking strap into your left hand, right arm out to the side for a little counterbalance, bringing your foot out to the side. And feeling that stretch in the inner thighs, keeping both sides of your pelvis down on the floor. So it requires a little bit of core strength there to do that, maybe. And then the left foot comes back up, switching hands. And again, you might take your thumb into the hip crease, keeping your sacrum down, keeping lower back on the floor, bringing your left foot over towards the right. And it'll start to feel pretty intense. And then at some point, you want to keep going. You got to let your hip roll up, so do that. Your left arm comes out and maybe looking back over the shoulder. Breathing. And you're in the twist. Keeping this left hip kind of drawing down and rolling back. And then bringing that foot back up. And taking the strap off. You can actually take the strap around both feet for a moment, maybe. It's kind of relaxing. And just kind of using the strap to sort of keep you in that position. 90 degrees. Like legs up the wall, but just using the strap. And then taking the strap off, but keep your legs up there and put your arms up and just shake it all out. And just like a bug on your back, shaking. And then draw the knees in again. Bring the feet towards the floor and plant your feet. So your heels are up a little closer to the hips. With your arms down by your sides, just rolling the hips up, coming into bridge. And you might tuck your shoulders underneath, maybe clasping hands. Taking a couple of breaths here. Keeping that curve underneath the neck so that you're not flattening your neck out. And then release your hands and just really slowly roll your spine back down. And come on to your back again for a moment. Let's roll over onto your left side. You could reach back for your right foot and stretch into your quad like this. So it's kind of a balancing act, staying on your side. And then roll over onto your belly. And then roll onto your other side and stretch that quad. Trying not to collapse forward. And then rolling back onto your belly. Let's come into bow pose. So reaching for your ankles and pulling yourself up into bow. And taking a couple breaths here. Maybe you could roll onto your left side, coming into side bow. And then roll back through center and over onto the other side, onto the right side. And then back onto your belly. Maybe coming up for another breath. And releasing. And just rock your hips a little bit from side to side. And then let's push back up. Let's come to a seat, a wide-legged seated position. So we'll find, first of all, just finding this wide-legged seated position. Maybe your hands are back behind you, just to encourage the opening of the chest so we're not rounding forward. If you can, bring your arms or hands forward without rounding. So you're kind of coming onto the front of your sit bones, or just tipping your sit bones back and up. This is the same thing we do when we're standing in our wide-legged forward bend, of course, but now different orientation to gravity. So we often walk our hands over towards the left foot, so you could do that now. And maybe you can release the head a little bit. It's a little different here. So actually maybe not, because that is pretty uncomfortable. But there's a little bit of twisting. You're reaching back through the left sit bone, kind of trying to keep it on the floor. It's okay if it lifts up a little bit, just moving in that direction. And you can use a strap there too. Taking your left arm on the inside of the left leg, maybe the shoulder or the elbow to the inside of your left knee, and then coming into a side bend. Some people can reach for their foot, but you don't have to, just making it work with your body. And again, here you don't really want to feel your shoulder creeping up, and you don't really want to jam it down either. You want to find the right spot. If you turn your palm back, it'll be easier to slide the shoulder blade. And then bringing yourself back up to center. And then back into your forward bend a little bit, and walking your hands over towards the right foot maybe, or ankle. So there's a bit of a twist happening here. This is a fairly challenging position for me. I don't know if it is for others, but trying to kind of keep the left sit bone down, and there's this twist happening and a forward bend. So maybe you don't go as far, maybe you just stay with your breath. And then coming up and bringing either the shoulder or the elbow into the inner right knee. Left arm comes up and over. And again, we're feeling for the left sit bone. It kind of wants to lift up. Just gently kind of keeping it back towards the floor. And coming back up to center. And take a little twist, just an easy twist towards the left. And then towards the right. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet together. Come into this like tortoise pose. So your face is coming towards your feet. And you're rounding. So you're kind of, again, feeling the back of your body with the breath. And you're drawing your belly in. And then releasing that and drawing those feet in a little closer, coming into cobbler's pose, Baddha Konasana. So I like to reach under my feet and kind of open them like a book. And then maybe you're coming forward. You could also release the feet and just bring the hands to the floor. This is not necessarily the most comfortable position for all of us. The knees are theoretically dropping towards the floor, and we're all different, so some people might have their knees completely flat on the floor and others may have their knees up. If your knees are really up, sit up on a block or a cushion. And then let's straighten the right leg, keeping the left sole of the left foot into the thigh. You could take your strap or your hands to your foot and really kind of wiggling your sit bones back so you're in front of your right sit bone, maybe coming forward. Or maybe you're just staying here. But if you are coming forward, it's again with this hinge of the hip and the lift of your shoulders and your head. And so this is the same pose we just did, except we're extending one leg. So it gives us a different mobility. And then release it. Bring your right foot in and your left foot out straight. And coming forward, you might be able to feel that your knee is dropping towards the floor. And again, there's just a little bit of a twist happening, very small amount of twist to bring you in line with your leg. And you're folding forward, hinging forward, keeping your long spine. And then coming back up. And then let's straighten your legs. So we'll come into a seated forward bend. So you could use your strap for that as well, Paschimottanasana. And I'm going to reach for my feet. If you can reach your feet, you might just kind of draw your toes back. I know feet was requested, so. And kind of massage your feet a little bit. Just like we did when we were standing and we put our hands underneath our feet. Only now we're sitting. And then we're going to come back up and slowly roll down onto our back again. Maybe bringing the soles of your feet, and actually let's bring your feet to the floor and your feet a little wider than your hips. Arms out to the sides, and let your knees drop from side to side. Go slowly. Just moving them back and forth a couple times. Maybe the next time they come to the right, you can just pause there. Maybe lifting your right ankle up on top of the left knee. Deer pose, looking over the left shoulder. So really feeling the breath in the left side of the body, and the left rib cage expanding. You have a little less lung on the left side because your heart is taking up some of the space there. So your left lung is a little bit smaller. Just breathe into it. And then releasing that side, coming over knees over to the other side. Maybe the left ankle on top of right knee. And breathe into the right side of your body, including that right lung. Just being really grateful for your breath, your ability to breathe. freely, comfortably. And then releasing and coming back to center. You could draw the knees in again. And maybe take happy baby before we come towards Shavasana. I've been really enjoying rolling from side to side. You can, as you come over towards one side, straightening the top leg, kind of pressing through. I don't know, that feels good on my low back. And then extend your left leg and draw the right knee in. And just take an easy twist before we come into our final resting pose. And then coming back onto your back, extending right leg and drawing left knee in. And taking the twist to that side. And look back over the left shoulder. Breathing. And then rolling onto your back. And if you like to start your Shavasana with the soles of your feet together in your reclined bound angle, you could also bring the hands to the elbows and arms up over the head. And here you'll really feel like your rib cage is open in the front. You can feel the breath. Taking a couple breaths there. And then when you're ready, you can bring the arms down by the sides, palms facing open, stretching the legs out. And just coming onto your back for Shavasana for a few moments. So I'm going to come back to my seat and talk you through a couple moments there. So letting your body surrender and just being very heavy and relaxed. So feeling the back of your body touching the floor. Seeing if you can breathe a little more softness into the back of your body. So maybe just like with our feet at the beginning of class, how we were trying to feel more parts of the soles of our feet touching the floor, you could see if the back of your body could contact the floor a little more completely, noticing places where it's lifted. And some places where it's lifted, like the little curve behind the neck, you're not going to want to press that part of your body towards the floor, but maybe the back of the ribs could be more surrendered. And you could feel the breath in the back of your body here. And just feeling the effects of your practice, of the movements you've made and the breathing, the consciousness about your movements and your breathing. And just feeling how you've kind of squeezed some things out of yourself and you've opened up some parts of yourself. And then from there, when you're ready, just making your way back to your seat where we started. So we started in a seated position. So coming back to the same place that you started, and I'm sitting on the same block that I was sitting on at the beginning of class, so that I can find this upright spine without feeling any strain. So there's a sense of your skeleton, the integrity of your spine, really supporting your head, your skull, with your brain. So your head's pretty heavy, so let it be balanced. And your spine is made to do that, to support that, the weight of your head. So no forward head, just drawing the skull back a little bit, lengthening up. And you might close your eyes. Again, feel for the shoulder blades to be in a comfortable place. So there's no rounding and hunching, and there's also no jamming. It's just relaxed, and the shoulder blades are sliding. And then find your nice smooth breath Let it be continuous. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Jaw and face stay relaxed. The front of your body is soft, so you can feel the breath, like the rise and fall of your body with the breath. So everything stays lifted and lengthened, but there's still a sense of kind of this movement with the breath. Bringing the hands together at your heart. And you could bow your head to your practice, to your own inner guru, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. So nice to see you, Joanne and Sasha and Shivanti and Janice. And my sister, who's going to be doing this like tomorrow. Really appreciate that you're still practicing regularly. And while I'm teaching you, while I'm going through the guiding you, whatever, I'm thinking about each of you who's here. And I also have Lori Phelan here tonight. So I'm just thinking about you and wishing you well and hoping that we'll be together again in person, not too far off in the future. Namaste.